Good evening. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to the Monday edition of Source 16 News at 10. I'm Tammy Hancock. New this hour, authorities in Graves County are looking for an escapee from the Restricted Custody Center. Around 3:45 this afternoon, the Graves County Sheriff's Department reports 34-year-old Octavio Jorez Lamus of Mayfield scaled the fence at the Graves County RC Center and fled, running south-southwest from the facility. He was last seen wearing a gray t-shirt and blue jeans. Lamus is a Hispanic male with black hair and brown eyes, about 5'10", and weighs approximately 160 pounds. Police say he was serving a 60-day sentence at the RC Center for DUI and other traffic offenses. Anyone with information of his whereabouts is asked to contact the Graves County Sheriff's Office at 270-247-4501 or your local law enforcement agency. A Fort Campbell soldier arrested in Florida last week for deserting his Army unit and wanted for the attempted murder of his girlfriend committed suicide over the weekend. Fort Campbell officials reported today that local Army officials were contacted by Orlando authorities that 32-year-old Sergeant First Class Andres Betancourt of Clermont, Florida, had passed away from self-inflicted gunshot wounds on Saturday. In a report we brought you last Thursday night, the Orlando Sentinel was reporting that Betancourt was in police custody after he deserted his unit based at the local Army post. He was also facing charges of aggravated assault and attempted second-degree murder in connection with an alleged attempt to run over his girlfriend in May 2010 in Clarksville. Fort Campbell officials reported today that the case will most likely be dismissed due to Betancourt's death. 3 Christian County men were taken into custody after a shooting in Hopkinsville over the weekend. Hopkinsville police arrested and charged 18-year-old DeAnthony Buckner and 19-year-old Keandre Metcalf, both of Hopkinsville, and 21-year-old Maurice Lane of Pembroke with first-degree wanton endangerment and possession of a defaced firearm. According to police, officers were dispatched to the Charlie Court area Saturday morning around 4 o'clock, where 3 men in a vehicle had fled the scene after a shooting. Police stopped the vehicle in the area of Latham Avenue and Moreland Drive, and during a search found a shotgun in the trunk of the vehicle with the serial number defaced. According to police, Buckner was driving the vehicle, and witnesses identified Lane as the man walking down Kaufman Drive towards Charlie Court with something long in his hand. Shortly after he was seen, police say shots were heard by several people in the area. Police say neither Lane nor the other 2 men claimed ownership of the gun found in the trunk. The 3 men were taken into custody and booked into the Christian County Jail. In other news, school may be out of session, but not for the Christian County Board of Education. The board held a 2-day retreat over the weekend at Lake Barkley State Resort Park to discuss the possibility of rezoning the school district.
We have built new schools in other districts that have been zoned to other schools, and like we have Sinking Fork, where you have Woody Lane, that's throw a rock, hit it, but they go to Belmont. But Sinking Fork School was not in that place when that occurred, and the same thing for MLK. So we have new additions as subdivisions, and we have new additions as schools. So those are 2 primary reasons, I think, that we need to look at this and talk about this and have some discussion.
During the final day of their retreat, board members listened to a presentation made by Director of Federal and IDEA Services, Patty Grabble, about a new initiative called Great by 8.
This initiative is being worked through the ag districts and looking at what the economic benefits would be of expanding early childhood programs, providing higher quality early childhood programs, and the economic benefits it would have on the state.
Board members then discussed how educators could close the gap between minority students and Caucasian students.
We've got to develop a strategy for ACT and other academic areas, not after they get to high school when we start taking ACT, but right when they enter school, because that gap is there, and because of our low socioeconomic status, it's almost impossible to recover all of that when they get farther in school. That's where our focus has been, is in the upper grades or upper intermediate elementary, and it's the easiest, as you said, to deal with it when they're in kindergarten.
Meanwhile, officials told Source 16 after the retreat, a community forum will be held to allow area residents to voice their concerns about the possibility of rezoning the school district. A Gilbertsville woman was injured in a two-vehicle wreck this morning near Fair Dealing in Marshall County. According to the Marshall County Sheriff's Department, 60-year-old Ann Medijak was making a left turn from Taft Road onto Moore's Camp Highway when she was hit by a vehicle driven by 49-year-old Donald Ken Toby of Benton. Medijak was transported by Marshall County EMS to Marshall County Hospital for treatment of injuries. Meanwhile, several individuals were injured in a number of wrecks over the weekend. Graves County woman and an Ohio man were injured in a two-vehicle wreck on the Jackson Purchase Parkway last night. State police say 41-year-old Matthew Abbott of Ohio was driving south on the Jackson Purchase Parkway around 6:15 Sunday night when near the 15-mile marker his vehicle hydroplaned, crossed the median into the northbound lanes and crashed into a vehicle driven by 59-year-old Pamela Jackson of Water Valley. Police say Abbott's vehicle then overturned off the east side of the parkway. Jackson and Abbott suffered multiple injuries and were transported by Mayfield Graves County EMS to Jackson Purchase Medical Center in Mayfield for treatment. 5 people were injured in a two-vehicle crash in Christian County over the weekend. Hopkinsville police report 33-year-old Brandy Wilson of Lewisburg was driving east on the Martin Luther King bypass Sunday when she told police her brakes went out and she ran through the intersection and crashed into a vehicle driven by 44-year-old Ricky Farmer of Hopkinsville. Police report the rear seat passengers in Farmer's vehicle were not restrained and were ejected out of the truck, and one of the passengers landed under the vehicle and had to be extracted by the Hopkinsville Fire Department. Farmer and 7-year-old Andrew Thompson of Hopkinsville were both flown by helicopter to Vanderbilt Medical Center in Nashville. Farmer's other 2 passengers, 39-year-old Ann Farmer and 12-year-old Clayton Thompson, both of Hopkinsville, and the Lewisburg woman were all transported by ambulance to Jenny Stewart Medical Center for treatment of injuries. Meanwhile, 2 teens and an adult were injured in an accident involving a pickup truck in Hopkins County yesterday morning. State police report the accident occurred around 7:35 in Arlington at the intersection of Highland Drive, Flat Creek Road, and Sandcut Drive. According to police, 29-year-old Jeffrey Moore Jr. of Arlington ran out of gas in his pickup truck and tried to push it out of the road while 16-year-old Joseph Moore was steering the vehicle. Due to an incline in the road, police say the truck rolled backwards and crashed into a tree, forcing and trapping Jeffrey Moore underneath the vehicle. Joseph Moore, who police report had 1 foot out of the vehicle while steering it, was dragged from the truck and hit by the front tires. Jeffrey and Joseph Moore and another passenger, 16-year-old Kayla Anderson of Nebo, were transported by ambulance to Regional Medical Center in Madisonville for treatment of injuries. And another wreck over the weekend involving a motorcycle left a Trigg County woman injured. State police say 22-year-old Rebecca Morris of Cadiz was traveling eastbound on Mount Hebron Church Road near Princeton Sunday around noon. When about 8 miles east of the city, she failed to negotiate a curve, causing her motorcycle to run off the road and hit an earth embankment. Morris was transported by ambulance to Regional Medical Center in Madisonville. Here's some other stories making news today across western Kentucky. A Livingston County man is dead after police report he shot his brother in the head and then turned a gun on himself and took his own life during a verbal altercation. According to state police, the shooting occurred around 10 o'clock last night at 103 Tasha Lane in Ledbetter. The investigation shows that 25-year-old Jared Niehoff was involved in a verbal dispute with a female acquaintance when his brother, 27-year-old Garrett Niehoff, attempted to break up the argument and was able to let the female flee the room. Seconds later, police say Jared pulled a handgun and shot his brother Garrett in the head before turning the gun on himself and taking his own life. Garrett was transported to Lourdes Hospital in Paducah, where he is listed in critical condition. Well, the annual Pump Up the Volume blood drive gets underway tomorrow at Bradford Square Mall. Betty Lingenfelter and Robin Shively of the Western Kentucky Regional Blood Center appeared on the scene this afternoon, and Shively told us why this event is so important this time of year.
And this event was designed to bring us through the summer with the blood supply because traditionally donations go down, usage goes up. So this is going to help us get through the summer without having to put out a plea for blood.
Donations will be accepted each day from 10 until 6. If you are interested in donating, you must be 17 years old or 16 with parental approval. weigh at least 110 pounds, have your medication list with you, make sure it's been at least 56 days since you've donated, and make sure you eat before donating. If you'd like more information, you can call 888-684-9296. The blood drive starts tomorrow and will be held for 3 days at Bradford Square Mall. They also have a lot of giveaways during the drive, including gift cards and t-shirts. Now it's time to take a look at some upcoming chamber events brought to you by the Hopkinsville Christian County Community Vision Plan. One of the Chamber's newest members, 360 Computers, will host a ribbon cutting Wednesday morning at 11:30 at 800 South Main Street in downtown Hopkinsville. Parking is available in the Virginia Street parking lot behind the building. And Pennyroyal Rural Electric will host an open house ribbon cutting of their new operations center on Thursday at 2000 Harrison Street. The open house will be at 4:30 that afternoon with the ribbon cutting at 5:15. These chamber events are brought to you by the Hopkinsville Christian County Vision Plan.